But I'm just going to show you all using the old version. I believe you'll be installing the new version. So I guess you can open my file later. I pass to you all. But the difference is actually not that big. It's nearly the same. So I'm just going to use the old version to continue the show. Okay. Okay. First thing first, right? The Photoshop files. For how do we import? I mean, like to AE to animate, right? You can. I mean, like we can actually just straight away import the Photoshop file. Is like you go to file import, right? File import. Desktop. This is the file. And then you'll see like you can import like editable layer styles and merge layer styles into footage. If you choose this, right, everything will be collapsed into one single layer. Like let's try this first. I believe this one is a single layers. Oh no, sorry. It still retain the layer. Never mind. You see, right, if we import Photoshop files, right, you see, yes, let's click this. This you see this icon, right? This one is called conversations. How do I explain this? It's a video clip. Like you click, right? You retain all the layers that we have in the Photoshops. Let's just compare. You see, right? All this layer that even I didn't use, I just turned off, right? It was turned off also, like, and then all the layers in Photoshops where I put in. You see, right? I have this main layers. It was create the import like auto create a separate video for us to like. It's sort of like a folder because here in this timeline, right? We doesn't have folder, so like it's sort of like create another movie clips. Like how do I explain this? It's sort of like a separate timeline. If you look at here, right, you have like own timeline. So like we can go in double click, like we can go in like edit here, everything like that. But now it's like because my Photoshop is still a bit messy, that's why there is a lot of unwanted stuff to that we doesn't really need. Like I have my reference, everything like that, which is my own painting. Like I didn't delete it, and then like I have like the layers that I didn't really use, which I can just like go here and then like delete it, and then like okay. So like the first way is we just straight away import the Photoshop files into AE, but we have to make sure that we already quite final. I mean like everything here is like quite final, and then like we doesn't make much more changes to the layers system. Why we want to the advantage of using this method is because when we do changes in here, right? Let's say like I do a bit of like painting here, it should auto update, and then if we save, right, it should auto reflect. See, it auto change. Like we have this red line which I just paint in Photoshop. This is a first method. The other method is we just like manually like export the layers. Like let's say this is a sky layers, right? We just like save it as a JPEG. Let's just make a create a folder. Let's rename it as JPEG. So we have this JPEG, right, which I just export, and then this layer, and then maybe I can export another layer which is far distance of this mountain, which obviously we need to be in PNG with alpha because then again let's save it here. Okay, and then I mean like this one is the second method, so like we can import from this folder, like we choose it here, and then like we manually just drag and drop to a new composition. We manually arrange the thing here, here. So there's two methods of like importing your assets to After Effects. It's depending on how you want to manage your project. If your Photoshop, you are very sure that you won't make a lot of changes to the layers, like adding new layers, everything like that, right? Then you can just import straight away, import the PSD. If you want to do a lot of changes to the layers, everything like that, you don't want to delete stuff, right? Then you can just like manually export the layers like one by one and then import back into AE. because sometimes right, if let's say if we are importing this PSD straight away to After Effects, and then we go on to like adding new layers, right, and then we save, right, we save it here. This AE won't import the new layers. You have to re-import the PSD again and then like extract the layers. So like it's depend on how final your Photoshop is. Okay, so any question regarding like the import, the file management? If no, then I can just continue. Basically, just two methods. One is you save your layers manually one by one and then import to After Effects. The other one is you just straight away choose your Photoshop and import. And then like this, you will create all the layers for you all. Okay, they just delete everything first. Maybe I just make a new one. Just start a new project and save. Okay, maybe for now, I guess I will just save manually because I don't think I want to delete. There was like some stuff that I don't want to delete them. So just now I have like my background, the sky. But usually the sky I would rather prefer to have like the clouds in different layers, right? I have this sky layer. I will save this as a sky layer. I just save this first. PNG is a bit slow, so sorry. Let's JPEG. We don't need the alpha, so we can just save it as JPEG. Now my file size I'm using quite big. Never mind, we just retain first. Then you see this one, right? All this is like different layers of clouds. So I might need, maybe this one I can keep it in one layer. So there's no wrong or correct, like how do you export the layers. And then you see this one, right? This one is a small cloud. Cloud 2, cloud 3. Maybe this save another layer. But here, because of a cloud, right, we need the alpha, so we have to be a PNG alpha. So just save as cloud 1 because we have another cloud layers, which is a small cloud. This one, right? Or the smaller clouds. Cloud 2. So again. And then just now I export this mountain, right? Which you see, right? I have this glow thing, which I don't think we need to export. Thing. The mountains, right? This one is a mountain. And then we have the main, which also need to be separate the layers. So how I want to do here is maybe the grass is in one layer. It's PNG also because we want to maintain the top is like alpha with alpha. Okay. Saving PNG is a bit slow because of the alpha. So this one maybe is grass. Okay. Sorry. And then there's this electric pylon. And export in the layer. It's called pylon. And then this part, the river, we don't need the reflection because we already export the sky already. We can just reuse the sky image and then like we just re redo all this like flip and then blur in After Effects. So like maybe I will just export this shape as a mask like that. So we have this river. Okay, river. So now we should have everything. We should have everything. I have this glow layer which I think we can just recreate in After Effects. We don't need to do export it. Okay, let's export it. We don't need to use this layer. So let's just go back to After Effects. Okay, so the first thing first, right? You just like go new file new project and then like make a new one, and then like you have to import the image that really save. So just for file import, and then you can choose everything here. Yeah, feel free to ask question. I might go a bit fast with AE because we only have like 1.5 hour. So before that, right, After Effects is a post production. They use it for post production, which means because you heard about pre-production and then production, right, and then post-production. Pre-production is where you all are doing your concept art, you're doing your environment design. All this is like your pre-production. You're writing the script. All the process is called pre-production. Production is the actual production. Like in film industry, right, the production is the shooting of the footage, right? The real life footage, right? They take camera and then like, they go to shoot the video. In animation, right, the production is like the animating using Toon Boom or Flash, anything like that. So post production is like after all the production work is done. Let's say the video is shoot and then like all the animation is done, right? Then you import here to do the color grading, putting effects, everything like that. So After Effects can be used for CG, like your visual effects, everything like that. Or sometimes, I mean, a lot of times animation is used also, but I don't see a lot of tutorial regarding using After Effects for animation. Like mostly people only do for the real footage. Like they do green screen, they put their 3D elements into their real footage, like sort of like CG and VFX. So like I think it's really rare to find tutorial regarding animation, but I will share a bit of like what I did in office, usually how to animate stuff. So you all can like you all learn painting in Asterisk. So like you have extra knowledge to sort of like how to animate your own painting. Like next time, I think it's a very good portfolio for you all, and then it's a bit added value. Okay, a bit sidetrack. Let's just go here. So the next thing you want to do is you click here the new composition. It's called a composition, so it's a new video. So when you come here, right, you will see the formats like the resolution, the width and height. So usually you can choose the 25. I usually the frame rate I use 25, like the FPS 25. You may have heard that like 30 FPS or everything like that, but I think the standard is quite standard, like 30 or 25. Usually I do 25 because I think TV station also, like when I do the TV station project, they also like ask us to do this 25 resolution, but the resolution here is should be 1920 and 1080. This one is, if I'm not mistaken, it's called a 1K. And sometimes when I do like 4K project, right, is I don't think the preset is here. Is in the new AE. Let's just quickly open. This old version doesn't have a lot of presets. The new version I don't use because it's a bit slow. Okay, it's the same thing, like it's just a difference. So you see, right, the Ultra HD 4K 25. You doesn't really need to like remember the value exactly. You can just choose from here. This one was one of the 4K project that supposedly some video that I need to pass to Astro. So like this is the resolution, and then like this one just now is like the HD. So 19201080 FPS. The duration is up to you all, like how much we want to do. Let's just put like 30 seconds first, and then like 1090 to 180. Or if you feel that your video, your PC or your laptop can't handle like this big resolution, right, you can just do like 1280 720. So this one is a, I think it's called a half HD or something like that. But you have to make sure here, this one, right, please make sure that this pixel aspect ratio is like square pixel. If you see here, right, it's like, what is this? I'll quickly explain what is this square pixel and this like DVC, PAL, everything like that. On our TV, right, like we have like this PAL, PAL, NTSC. You can see, like, you can quickly like Google, I mean, like read this thing later, because the old TV, I mean, like the TV we have in our house, right, the old one, not the new LED, everything like that. Their pixel is not a square pixel. They have like this like rectangle shape, like 0.91. The shape is like 1.21. It's usually it's like that, or 1.33. But because we are working on computer monitor, right? Our pixel is a square pixel. Then it's easier to work with square pixel. So just make sure we choose square pixel. This one is usually when we use this different pixel aspect ratio, right? When the TV station or the broadcaster specifically ask you to do this format, then you only do this. Else, you just always just choose square pixel. So just make sure square pixel and then 25 FPS. And then because we don't want to lag our PC, I just choose a lower resolution 1280720p. Just click OK, 30 FPS. Okay, now we have our new com. You can see right the library is just called a new com. Maybe we can just like rename this one. This is the naming convention, right? Is up to you. Maybe you can just like name it as main, or you want to start because this one is a com, right? You can start it with a com main, something like that. And you can make a folder here also, like maybe I want to make it as a 01 assets. Why I put this 01, right? Because if you don't put this 01, right, sometimes you have like if you have like different file name, let's say this test, right? Then this folder is like you will be dropped down. Like if I put 01, right, you always maintain on the top. Is a way for me to organize our thing. So all this image, I think I can just like drag, put it inside this folder. This one is up to you all, like how you all want to or do the organize your maintain your file. So after that, I can just like drag everything here. Because just now we save our Photoshop size is bigger, right? You see, right? 20481360. So we need to resize it so that it fit to our comp. To quickly do that, right, you can just like select everything, right click, and then there should be a transform. Okay, transform, and then fit to comp with we should be using width because my resolution, right, if we quickly change here 1280, this was our height is like larger than the 720, so I have like 850. So to avoid the distortion, right, we should use the width. Let's just quickly show you, like if I use the height, right, fitcom height, then you have like the crop mark, or I can't use this like transform fitcom, then you like distort, it's like you stretch, so I don't want that. Maybe you just like the width go back. So but our layers, the ordering is wrong, so the background should be the lowest layer. Just turn it off first. The cloud, then here is a cloud. The next thing is the smaller cloud, which is here. But I think I have a bit of mistake when I save the this duplicate, so maybe later I need to receive that, but never mind. And then it should be the mountain. So just drag it down. Just ignore something here because it's my chain. And then it's the grass. Should be the river and then the pylon. Okay, the ordering is correct. So now we have the ordering of our animations. To zoom in, right, you can just like quickly use the mouse wheel. So the first thing first, right, because just now I accidentally saved the two layers, right? You see here, right? If you see this sphere, right, when you click on this sphere, you will just like show this layer only. So like it's a quick tool to like show, I mean like one layer. So I think I need to resave this one. Let's just go back and do the cloud layer to resave that. So the cloud small, maybe just now I turn two layers. So I can just resave this one, which is the cloud 2, and you auto update here. So because I received it, you auto update here. Okay, the first thing first, we can try to animate, right, is the cloud. So how to animate clouds? There's a lot of way. Like the most easiest way is like to move it like horizontally. So how to do that? Is that to do that, right, you have to change the position of the cloud. So like if you press P, right, or you open here the properties, click transform, you'll see the position, but the shortcut is P, right? You open straight away, open the position properties, and then when we click here, right, we make a keyframe for this position. So animation, right, is we need two keyframe for animate for an animation. So like if we move it to the end, right, we put another keyframe. Just click here. Don't click here. This one is we click here, right? You remove the first keyframe. So click here and then move it. Move this cursor thing to the end, and then just click here. You add another keyframe. So we have two keyframe, and then we have this auto blending of in betweens, which create by AE. But now there's no movement because both our keyframe is in the same position. So like you just move it here, and then like you can just like mouse over here, and then you can just drag here. Maybe you can just move it here. So now if we play, right, then we have like this slow movement of the clouds. The preview is a bit slow, so I not sure if you all can see the thing. So we have like this cloud movement, but this one is the most basic. It doesn't. It's the most, how to say, noob way to do lah. It's like to do animation. We can improve this a lot and better. So maybe just okay, delete it first. Okay, before that, right, I think I'm just going to make a new file to show you how to animate clouds and the Photoshop files. Like, let's just quickly paint something. There is different way of like painting clouds. So just go this very fast. And I'm just going to use black and white. So sorry for the ugly painting, but I'm just going to show you all some concept. It's very okay. Sometimes when we do the painting, we might be painting like one layer like that. But sometimes you got also like, because if we want to show depth, right, we might want to like separate them into different layers. Like this one is here, so we can animate them in different speed. So right now we have like three layers, right? One, two, three. Let's just quickly save this as MS. Okay. Let's just save this file first before. Okay, make a new file first. I want to demonstrate a different method of like animating clouds, because this one might look a bit complicated. We just use simple graphic and then like to do the testing. So we just import the file I draw just now, the cloud, right? I'm just going to use this one. Okay. Okay, now because the cloud is black, right, we can actually like add a new solid color here. Let's choose white color. Put it in the background. I can lock this layer. Like I say just now, right? If we just like do one layer, right, and then we just animate, like this doesn't have the perspective thing. Like let's say if you already separate the clouds into like different layers, right? Like close and then like much medium distance and then further away, right? You can add like sort of like animate them, move them in different speed. So just add keyframe for everything, and then go to the end, add again. So the closer to us, right, it should be faster. So this one move more, and then this one is move less. So less. So like you sort of like have a parallax effect. So this is method one. You separate your props in different layers, and then you animate it in different speed. The speed here is dictated by, because the closer one, right, I just move it more the distance to move faster. So this one is to cheap way for the parallax effect. So let's go back to my old file, which is this one. Because here, right, I'm just separating my files in one. I mean, like I only have one cloud layer, right? I doesn't separate them in different layer. So how do we do the perspective thing? To do that, right, you have to use a filter. Like let's say I click on this cloud, right, and then let's go to effect, distort corner pin. It should be in the latest version as well. Let's just quickly double check. And but I think the latest version they have like you have another option I think in the latest. Yeah. This is here also, so you see this corner pin, and then I think you have this CC power pin, which is the same thing. But I'm just going to use the corner pin first. So how do we do this? What is this corner pin? Let's just turn this corner pin, right? You see, right? You have this upper left, upper right, lower left, and lower right, which I can just like adjust. It's a distortion tool based on the see the value change. It's just reset. So how do we do the perspective thing? So first thing first, right? I'm just going to add keyframe for all this value. You just click all the icon here. So you'll create all the icons. So how do we review the keyframe? You see here, right? The keyframe is hide. You just press on this layer, press U. See, press U. You'll show the active keyframe, which will already create here. And then I'm just going to the end and create all this keyframe. I see, right? Because the keyframe is the same, there's no animation. So how do we animate? Okay, first step, depending on the movement of our cloud, maybe I want to go from right to left. So I'm just going to adjust the upper right. See, sorry, I accidentally select the both keyframe you see here, right? I have to make sure I select this only, not the end keyframe. So it looks a bit weird because we haven't adjusted the left. I mean the end keyframe in. So the upper right is we just move it here. The ending keyframe, which is the upper left, you just like move. You can the option is same. You can just adjust it here or here. Just move it here. So now we have this cloud movement, which is sort of like a bit of like parallax as well. Although we are just using one layer, and then on top of that, you can just like put in also like the movement also p plus p, right? And then we can like slightly move a bit also. So like we are combining like two. So when we play, right, so it's sort of like the closer cloud will move a bit faster. Yeah. So we can save now. So now we can put in our next layer of clouds, which is the smaller clouds. Maybe these smaller clouds should be moved in a different speed, I guess. We can use the, I think, the corner pin as well, which I can just like copy. Sometime, right, you can just like click on this and then copy and then paste. You'll remake all the keyframe. See, like, but maybe the smaller cloud or you want it to move faster a bit, so just move it here, make the value more extreme. Right. Mm. It looks kind of okay now. Maybe the position is a lot of tweaking when we do this, so maybe we have to now the you see, right, because my sky gradient there is a cloud texture, which I think we need to animate also. So let's just copy this, quickly copy this, and I paste it into the end layer. Okay. Maybe the sky shouldn't move, the back layer shouldn't move so fast. So I have to go right. I hope you all can see this effect here. You can see it's a bit parallax and then a bit 3D. So we have basic clouds movement here now. which sometimes can be very lagging because we are using this corner pin distortion. The mountain itself, I don't think we need animations. You can just put it, maintain it. The grass layer. Okay. I think I missed. I didn't export one more layers on top of that. We doesn't need any grass layer. Okay. Okay. Now how do we? Because our river is like this white color, right? How do we put the reflection on our river? Because it looks kind of a bit weird. Okay. Now we already made our sky, right? We can either like duplicate all these layers and then like let's just quickly duplicate here. Let's just turn it off, and then we have this layer. I'm just going to show you the masking way. Okay, we see here, right? We have this cloud here, right? If we press F4, you will change the properties here. Press F4. We can use this like, let's just expand this a bit. You can see this matte thing. This matte thing is a bit like a masking thing. So we have alpha matte, Ruma matte. Alpha, which is what we're going to use here. When we do that, right? Let me turn off this position first. I don't know, you can know what I'm doing here. Alpha, right? When we do alpha matte, right? This cloud layer, we'll use this river layer. You'll check the alpha value, like here, right? This one is not alpha, right? You'll review the cloud layer, right? You'll be review on this river thing. Maybe I shouldn't use that. Should I just use? Let's just use this PG to show you. Yes. Yeah, it's like a mask. Let me explain it properly. If it will be quite confusing if okay, you see, right? This is our river image with alpha. If I turn it off, right? See, right? Alpha, and then I have this blue layer, and then I change here, right? Alpha matte. You will use the layer on top here, which is this river as a mask. If I use alpha invert, that means you will invert it, so you'll review everything outside. If I the Luma mat, right, is actually a black and white image. So like if our river image here, right, doesn't have this alpha value, right, instead it's just a black and white, right, you use the black and white value for the masking. So it's the same as the Luma inverted. It's just like the other side. Luma inverted. Luma. So now, because if we do it like this, right, is we have a lot of layers that we need to like. I mean, like we should, if we use this method, right, you imagine that we have to like do this again and then like this alpha made again, everything, right? Which is very, I mean, like we are duplicating a lot of layers. So this is not what we are doing, but instead, because we already done this animation, right? I think we can actually move these three layers, right? Including the mountains to a separate composition. So to do that, right, you just like new composition. Mm, where is it? I can't remember this. Can't remember where it's in the layer. Precom, yes, it's called precom. And just move all attributes. Yes, yes. So we can precom bg. So now you will see, right, everything will be grouped inside this precom. They call it the precom. And then like what we did here, right, it's in here. The animation is still inside here, the keyframe, everything. But we just like group everything. So now we have everything, and we can sort of like use this. Did I accidentally delete the river? I think I did. Okay. And then now we can duplicate this layer. which have the same animation because we already group right. The animation is so here, and we can just like for this we can use this river as the mid, which is the alpha mid, but we need to flip our pre-comp first. So go to skill, press S. S is for skill. It's very easy to remember. P is for position, S for skill. But we have to flip right is the percentage have to be the half percentage have to be negative. So like turn off this one, the chain. Oh, just quickly. So now we have a flip thing. We have our reflection here now. Okay, but I think the skill, did I make mistake? Yeah, it's correct. Correct. You can also like turn on the opacity. The opacity is T though. It's not O, it's T transform. You can change opacity, everything like that. But because the layer below is a green, right? That's why the grass layer, right? That's why when we turn down the opacity, come greenish like that. Maybe you have to put another layer below. Never mind. Now we have our reflection with movement animation, which is exactly the same on the top. We don't need to turn on this mask layer. Is that we can just hit it hiding. I made some mistake on this river. Transform with com with yeah. So yes. Now we're still missing this reflection of this island. Okay, for this pylon, right, because when I doing this painting, right, we cannot just flip like that. I notice if we just flip like that, right, we have just copy and then paste it here. It doesn't really align. See, here is aligned, but here it's not aligned. So we have to, I mean, like separate. We have to do the, we have to distort this thing separately. So just duplicate, Control D, another layer, and then again just press Skill, change it to negative, so it flip. And then maybe I sort of like can use the corner pin, I guess. Distort corner pin. Maybe I want to move the end up a bit. I want to like roughly connect them. I don't think I can make it properly. This one is yeah, I don't know, right. I should have fixed this in the painting, but never mind. If it's proven too hard to fix here, then I think I'm just going to do in Photoshop. Can uh too hard to be fixed here. So, okay. Now we need to mask this thing. I think it's okay for now. So we can just like duplicate this river for the mask. The mask right here, press here. To go back to this menu, I just press F4. Okay, now it's hiding. The placement is not correct, but never mind. It's not very important in this class. So now we have some basic movement, clouds, everything like that. Okay, the next thing, right? Just now I mentioned I didn't export the glow, right? Everything. You see this glow layer. How do we remake this thing in AE? I prefer to do in AE because we have more control here, and then we even can animate the skill, everything. So we just lock everything here. And let's save Control S. You go to here, layer new, solid. Solid is just a flat layer, so we can choose any colors, but I'm just going to put it as white first. So you can see it's just a white layer without anything. So the next thing, right, we want to adjust based on, because here, right, I'm using a more bluish cyan color, so you need to adjust the color in AE here. So the filter you're going to use is effects, color correction, and then tint. Tint is like black and white. So I want to map the white because I'm using a white solid, right, to the bluish color. So yes, here. Then I can choose here, click here, this rectangle tool. Maybe I just choose this ellipse tool or circle tool, right? It's a masking of that. Just draw a shape here. And then press V, right, for the cursor tool here. Then you can double click here. So I can just place this thing. I just scale it now. Okay. But now it's in flat color. How do we feather the thing? You click here, right? Just rename first blue. Click here, press F. So you will show the mask feather. This mask, right, is this circle thing that we draw. So if you can't remember the word, right, you just click here, double click. You'll show all the options. The option we're going to change is this feather. So it sort of like fade away. The soften the edge. So, and then maybe you can change the transform. We can press T, like lower down. And then we can change the blending mode here, which is all this blending mode that you use in Photoshop or your Clip Studio. You can change add. It's bright, it's very bright. And screen, change color. Okay. So we have a bit of color here. So now why I want to do this in Photoshop, right? I mean like in AE, right? Because like we can always like change all the setting, like we have more control over here. So I prefer to do this in After Effects. So now this is a basic animation that we can done. Like I think I missed out one layers. Let's just go back and check. Which is this grass that on top. I think let's just save this one first. Nice. Okay, let's just import the thing in Control I and just like it's a shortcut Control I. Let's just put and then right click because our layer is bigger, so right click. Okay, now we have our grass. Just now I forget about these layers. So to animate the grass, right, we sort of like it's not the best way to animate a grass, but we can sort of like animate a bit of the movement. The filter we're going to use is there is a lot of way to do this, but I think I'm just going to use easier to understand. I'm just going to use turbulence displacement. This is a method one. Is you just use one filter. What this thing did is right. You see right. You just like it's a turbulence mapping right. So let's just reset first. We can use sort of like adding some wavy movement to the grass, but obviously now because it's like too the skill is like a bit too big. I think first thing first, we need to change down the skill first. The size, I think maybe make it to 10. This one, this filter is also very lagging. It's like don't use it that much. See, it's sort of like the skill when the skill is smaller, it's like sort of like nice. Maybe I'm just going to because right we don't have keyframe, that's why it's like not animating. Let's just add keyframe for I think it's evolutions. Yeah, you see this evolution right? Change back to let's reset first. The size we use 10 evolution. Just click here, add a keyframe, then press in your layer right. Press U, you open this one. Again, go to the end, add another keyframe, and then how much we want to move. Let's just put 3 first. Turn off everything and then look at. This look a bit weird, but this is the I mean like the simplest way to animate and make it a smaller size, I guess. The amount is like how much it move, right? If you put more, right, you shouldn't put that much. Right? Put 10, 30. You can also like play with all this like shape. I think turbulence is good. If we just zoom out, I don't think it's a bit too slow to notice the movement. So 3 is not enough. Maybe you have to let's try and put 10 and see what happens. This still look a bit too slow. It's 13. Okay, seems to be okay. Okay, horizontal displacement. Yeah, the horizontal seems to be better because just now when I use this turbulent, right, it's moving up and down. So sometimes it's depend on what you want to do. It's kind of okay. Horizontal is like he's moving left and right. It's quite nice also. I'm not sure is it visible for your like the grass movement. It doesn't look realistically, but when you see the whole thing like that, right, and then there's other stuff moving, right, it should look kind of. I think you need to increase the speed more. It doesn't not that obvious. Bit too much. 6 amount 50. You when you press spacebar, right, you this thing will preview lah. This one is the rendering. Just click render and then preview. Okay, it look kind of nice. Like a little bit of like movement. You can see here, right? Yeah, a little bit of movement. But now our water is like there's no water. It's very still. It's like a mirror that. So how do we improve on that? There's a lot of way to do that. Sometimes people just put a water footage on top of this layer, which proved to be much more easier. But I don't have a water footage right now. Let's do a displacement. We need to displace also like because like when we look at water, we have this I don't know what's it called refraction. I think you will displace everything like here. So to do that, right, I'm afraid it's a bit confusing, but I want to show you also. We need to have a animation of like sort of like a water movement animation. So to do that, right, we need to we can reuse maybe we generate a new solid layer, new solid. This time we're going to choose a black color, black, and then just going to use effects, generate some noise and grain, sorry, and then fractal noise. So we'll have this like this called re cloud area. I don't know what it's called. It's a noise one. So now what we want to change here is we sort of like want to change the shape of this thing. The first thing first, right? We want to change is the scaling. We just untick this uniform scaling. We want to scale the width more, and then the height less. Okay, now we have shape like this. We sort of like a water. We want to do this, use this for water movement. And then the next thing is because now it's not animating, right? We don't haven't add the keyframe. Let's add the keyframe first. Like press here, keyframe, and then choose this layer. Press U. Go to the end. Maybe put 10. So we have this movement that we can use for the water light effects. Okay, now if we look at our river, right? Maybe the river is like moving from distance closer to our camera, right? So we sort of like want this thing like move now. We either can do that with this transform. I think is somewhere here. Where is it? Offset. Yeah. Where is my offset? Yes, this offset. You can either animate this value, which I'm just going to do now. Just click here, and then here you press U again. Just move it down a bit. Make this perspective. So now we sort of like we can see it moving down. Maybe we can add more. 2000. Okay. But now this thing is still not what we want. It's not in a perspective that on what I'm hoping for. So like how do we like we can press F4 and then like we can click here. So this thing will become a 3D layer. When we rotate the 3D layer, right? Press R. You have this like now we have this 3D rotation which I can show you all. So now you see you have a perspective. It's in a perspective rotation. If we don't turn on this 3D layer, right, we can only like rotate in this one axis. So like just turn on that 3D layer. Then we want to it's the same. You can change the orientation on this rotation. Maybe like that, yes. And can move it now. Maybe you can even change the scale, like the Z. So now we have some movement. It's not very good, but I think it is a job. Okay, let's go to rotation again. Okay, now we have this black and white image, which we can use for distortion or I mean, like, we can use for displacement. Okay, how do we displace like everything here? Okay, now to do displacement, right, we can use the displacement map. You see right here, you can it's in under distort. There is a displacement map. So how do we do use that? We want to distort the reflection, right? Which is where is my layer again? Which is here, reflection. I'm not reflection. Okay, we add effects here to distort displacement map. Where is my displacement map? Just now I see. The hell? Okay, here. Okay, now you see displacement, right? There's a lot of option. Like we can choose a displacement map layer, which is this black solid. We're going to use the info from this layer to for the displacement. But before that, right, I'm not sure whether I need to make it as a pre-com like here. Oh, just let test first. I think we need to pre-com that for it to work. Else we won't see the effect. Yeah. So we have to like make this a pre-com Control Shift C, and then make sure we move all this setting right into this composition. So let's call this pre-com vector noise. So now we can hear with this reflection, we will turn off pre-com vector noise. We should choose. Why it doesn't show the thing properly? Okay, now it's a bit annoying. Why you just like affect that part? Horizontal pixel around. Change it to luminance. Hmm. Should I put another? There seems to be some kind of error in my side. I thought like it's correct. It's correct. Action seems to be corrupted. I don't know why. Okay, never mind. I will fix the error later. But basically, the reflection map is like we use this black and white image, right? We have this black and white image, right? And we can use it for, you see, right? This displacement. We can choose like the horizontal displacement, like how much you want to displace. And then because we have animation here, right? It's sort of like the displacement will like follow the animation. But I don't know why it's like corrupted. Like it's just only show here. You should show the whole thing. But basically, this one is one quick way to do the water animations. So now the other thing we can do for this water thing, right, is we can use a particle system. Like it's sort of like add, because when sunlight fall on this water, right, we have this small sparkly thing on top of the water. So what I usually did is I just put another black solid here, and then I'll go to the filter. Okay, filter, and then there is this simulation particle system. CC particle. The filter I use here, right, is all in AE. I didn't use any third party, which sometimes the third party plugins can be very useful, but you need to purchase. Here, you just come with AE rating here. So now we can change this particle, right? Because you see, right, this particle system, you will just like explode like that. We want it to be on a flat surface. The first thing first, right, we can change is maybe change it to star, and then change the color. So it's like white. Maybe here's a blue. So now you have this, but we don't want it to be macam like exploding like that. So maybe change it to 0, and we don't want the gravity press 0. So now we want to like have the particle to emit on the whole surface. So we can need to change the producer. So just change here. Maybe not Y, the Z. Then the producer positions, just move it down. Just see is correct. The size as well is a bit too big. Maybe the both size, like the first particle when it is shown, right, is a size. The depth maybe you can put a 0. So we have this thing which is like that. Should move. Just place it. It's a lot of tweaking. Okay, for now we just do that. The amount, right, we can just change on the birth rate one. Maybe just like that. We can also change the blending mode of this layer. Press F4. We can change it to screen or add. We just add first. Too much. But now it's like appearing on the grass as well. So we need to do the same thing, which is using the river image as the mask, which I think it need to be in a com, but let's test first. Yeah, no need. Yeah. So now we have this. I haven't changed all the properties properly, but basically I've shown you all how to move the clouds, animate the water, and then like all this particle. This water particle is a particle system on one flat plane, and then like animate the grass. So like when zoom out, right, it's like when you have other animation going on, right, you sort of off K. But I need to figure out why the water is only on that part. Okay, so far any question before I continue? Anything you specifically want to see? There is still a lot of things I want to share. That's why I want to spend time like figure out why. I always have this problem with water. Any Yeah, there's a lot of things I still can share. Or you want to see anything? I want to show you all how to do the time transition, like to sunset and then to do rain, everything like that. There's still these two steps.